Morning folks, hope you're all doing well. Start of a new week, and I'm going to kick it off by talking to you about momentum investing. What is it? Why is it so powerful? And really stay tuned because there's magic to this video. It's about combining a few things together that I've been talking about and getting amazing results for yourself as you go forward. So I had done a video sometime last week that talked about return on investment and why it was so important, and I also touched upon the buy, renovate, rent, refinance model, which is quite common in the property investment world and basically is the foundation stone of momentum investing. But I'm going to dig in a little bit more as to why that's the case, primarily based on what happens at the end after you refinance, specifically what that does to your return on investment. Because in the last video I gave an example which I'll spin through again very quickly, but I didn't go into detail about what happens at the end. That's what this video is all about. Okay, so let's touch quickly upon that video again. So first of all, how do you calculate return on investment? Remember we said it was net annual profit divided by total cash in the deal times by 100. So if you're making £15,000 gross profit a year, so net profit a year, and you've put £100,000 into that deal, your return on investment is 15%. Okay, so keep that calculation in mind because we're going to need it again. We're going to need it twice. In fact, and we're going to go through a deal. We're going to figure out what the return on investment is initially and after refinancing, and you're going to see that it jumps up nicely, and the mechanics as to why that happens. Okay, let's go through some numbers. All right, so you buy a house that has a value of £200,000. You buy it for £200,000 and it costs you £100,000 as in cash required to do this deal. That includes buying it, putting in a deposit of let's say 25%, paying stamp duty, legal fees, maybe 40 or 50 grand on your builders to renovate that house, convert it from a 3-bedroom semi into a 5 or 6 bedroom HMO shared house. Again, as always, take these numbers with a pinch of salt. I'm trying to put across a concept here, and I'm going to adjust the numbers a little bit here and there just to suit the argument and the point that I'm trying to get across, which I really want you to understand in the simplest way possible. Okay, so you've spent your 100,000. You now have a property that you've purchased for 200,000. It's up and running. It's an HMO, and it's producing, let's say, gross rent of £2,000 a month. You've got £1,000 a month of bills. Therefore, your cash flow, remember that's a really important number, is £1,000 a month. Now, at this stage, you've bought it, you've renovated it, and you've rented it. So you've done 3 of the 4 things that we're going to be talking about. And at this stage of the game, your net annual profit is £12,000 because your cash flow is £1,000 a month times 12. We've already said you've put £100,000 into the deal, so your total cash in is 100,000, meaning that your initial return on investment on this deal is 12%. Now, I had said before it's good to have a target criteria for everything. I'd mentioned that my target criteria for this kind of deal was 15%. That's for the initial return on investment. Right, now I've spun through that quite fast, and apologies for those who've already sort of seen the previous videos and knew all of that, but I had to set the stage because now it's all about what comes next. What's this final bit? What's this refinance piece? What does it mean? I'm going to slow down, go through this bit slowly because this is momentum investing, and this is the magic. Okay, so let's say you get a valuer around, a bank valuer around. You say, Mr. Bank Valuer, I've done all this incredible work to this house. I've completely restored it. What do you think it's worth now? Now, let's say Mr. Bank Valuer says, I now think this house is worth £300,000. Great. So you bought an asset for 200,000. It's now worth 300. You go to pick up the phone to your mortgage broker or your finance person and you say, I'm interested now in taking out a further advance, which is to say I want the same mortgage company to lend me more money. right? You could also do a remortgage, which is where you switch to another lender. But if you're doing this, let's say 6 months after having purchased it, you don't want to pay unnecessary fees to end one mortgage and start another. So actually, if you can stay with the same lender and take a further advance, that can often be the most efficient way of doing it. But I'm not a finance person, so speak to your mortgage broker every single time. Every deal is different, and get the best advice. Right, so now let's say that you had originally taken out a 75% loan to value mortgage, meaning that when the house was worth 200,000, you had put in a £50,000 deposit, you had a mortgage of £150,000, your loan to value 75%, your equity was 25%. Let's say you say to your mortgage broker, right, I would like to take a further advance back up to 75%. Reason being, because when your house was revalued at 300,000, your equity jumped from being 50,000 to 150,000. And in percentage terms, your equity jumped from being 25% to 50%. And you're now going to restore that back. Okay, so if you take a mortgage, take a further advance to reinstate loan to value of 75%, that mortgage amount is now going to go from being what was £150,000 originally, it's going to become £225,000 because that's 75% of 300. Okay, so what does that mean? That means that your original cash in the deal was £100,000. We'd agreed that, right? That was for buying it, paying the builders, doing everything. Well, the difference between the original mortgage amount of 150 and the new mortgage amount of 225 is £75,000. So that, at the point of refinance, the further advance, £75,000 is going to be transferred back to your bank account. That's basically the equity you're going to release from the deal. So having put in 100,000 originally, if the bank transfer you 75,000 back, you've only now got £25,000 of your own cash in that deal. You understand? So you've put in 100,000 originally, you've got 75,000 back. So in terms of momentum, you've now got 75,000 in your account to go off and do the next deal. And this is why we often talk about recycling money. It's a very efficient way of doing this. But you still own the property and it's still producing money each month. And you've only got a small amount of your own capital in that deal. 25,000, we've just agreed that. Now, let's go back to the return on investment calculation and try to figure out what's your return on investment on that deal now after having refinanced. Again, so I can give the simplest example, let's just adjust the numbers slightly. Let's say that instead of £25,000 left in the deal, it's 24,000. And let's say that the cash flow each month is still £1,000. Now the disclaimer here is that your cash flow would reduce slightly because you've now got a higher mortgage, so you're going to be paying slightly more each month on your mortgage payments, but all your other stuff, all your other bills and the rent should remain unchanged by this. The tenants are still living there, they don't know you've done a remortgage. The electricity and the utility costs aren't going to change because it's the same number of tenants there. Most other things are going to remain kind of constant, it's just the mortgage bit that changes. So you've got £24,000 left in the deal. Your cash flow is still £1,000 a month. So your net annual profit is £12,000. Your cash in the deal is £24,000. One divided by the other, times by 100. Your return on investment now is 50%, 50. So it's gone from 12% to 50%. So you see there's a nice big jump there, and that's magic, and that's momentum investing. Key learnings here, the key takeaways that I want you to walk away with and to have really grasped. You put £100,000 in initially, you've got £75,000 of that back. So you've only got £25,000 in the deal. Your initial return on investment was 12%. Your return on investment, let's call it your projected return on investment, is 50%. You're able to go off and do another deal, you're keeping this one, you're getting a really good return, and you're starting to build momentum and recycle money and do more deals on a conveyor belt kind of approach. Now, some people talk about deals where there's no money left in, no money down deals. They're hard to come by, particularly in the best areas of the country, but I know that there's friends of mine out there who've done it, so I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm just giving you this example because people get a bit fixated on not leaving any money in the deal, and I would just say to you, you can do some incredible deals and still leave some money in. So don't think you have to hit that golden bullet every time. It is quite hard to accomplish, especially if you're playing in places like London. But if you're getting a 50% return on your money, then that's obviously fantastic. So look, I hope there's some key learnings and there's some useful stuff for you there. Slightly longer video, but this is slightly more advanced stuff. And if you understand it and you unlock it and you get it right, you can really kind of propel yourself forward in a very powerful way. So I wish you all the best. I hope that kind of makes sense. Let me know if you have any questions. Let me know if you guys do this slightly differently or if you have even more powerful ways of making your money work. Obviously, I'd love to hear them. I'm in the game myself. And I hope you have a great week ahead. All right, all the best. Bye-bye.